Yeah, cheers for that. Thanks for giving Rob and I a chance to share what we've been up to since we finished our fellowships. And like you said, I was one of the earlier fellows. 2010 was when I started. And just have a bit of a chat about how Rob and I work together to give the students at Tahuna plenty of learning opportunities. So, yeah, we'll see how we go anyway.
Okay, it's Rob here. Sorry, Roddy, I'll just jump in there. You can start us off, Roddy. I'll just say hi to everybody, and you take it through from there. My fellowship started in 2012, so I was lucky enough to see Roddy go through it and talk about all the wonderful things he did, and sort of nudge me along and get me into it, which is pretty good because I don't think I would have done it without having someone else sort of go through it at school and talk me through it and sort of give me a bit of a push when needed.
Yeah, so cheers, Rob. I loved my fellowship. It was a fantastic 6 months. I've been teaching for about 10 years, I think, and I was ready to just about chuck in teaching and do something a bit different when my boss sort of had the info emailed out to him or sent out to him about the fellowship. We've done a little bit of stuff in 2009. Trying to improve what we were doing in terms of science at our school, and it sort of all started from there really. I think I went to a primary science. There was a primary science conference in Dunedin in 2009. I got some fantastic ideas from some of the presenters that were there that day. And there's sort of the main things that I've sort of continued on with that school, and I think just making those great connections and meeting some great people that who are heavily involved in science, and those are the people that have really added to what we do at our school. I spent my 6 months with Department of Conservation here in Dunedin. 2 or 3 of those months I was based at Macrae's base, Docks Macrae's base, which was, I think it's sort of changed a little bit now what they get up to up there, but they had plenty of people working up there at that stage, and I worked with the science guys that were keeping an eye on the skinks up there, and then for the rest of my time I was really lucky. I got to cruise around most of Otago, working with some of the other teams, freshwater fish, the sea lion guys, a bit of penguin work. So like I said, really lucky, and met some fantastic people at Dock, and still have some really good relationships with them to this day. I was just out with one of the guys this afternoon. We're doing a wee recce of what we're going to be up to on Thursday, which is a fishy stock take at our water monitoring site, which is close to our school. It's a shallow coastal lake, and catching up on all the gossip and people that are left and people that are still there. It was fantastic. Got another wee session with the dock ranger in about a month's time. He's going to take us to look at what he's been doing in terms of seabirds. So that should be quite cool too. So that's me really. If I flick on a couple, maybe Rob, you want to jump in? If you think I missed anything out, just a little bit about our school. Obviously an intermediate. Rolls about 450, has been as high as 500 in the last few years. 450 is a pretty good number for us, I think. So we've got 8 year 7 classes and 8 year 8 classes. And I think Rob will agree with, we're pretty lucky to have a forward thinking principal. And he backs up what we want to do. He never really stops us from doing anything, even if that involves, you know, splashing out and spending a bit of money. He doesn't tend to mind too much. He does have high standards though, and as Rob would agree, he likes giving us extra work to do, but yeah, we can handle it. And yeah, he even had a go at doing a bit of science teaching himself. Last year we had him in a classroom doing some nature of science activities with our Year 7s that had just started school. So he didn't manage to get there this year. I think it took a bit out of him being back in the classroom, but at least he was willing to have a go. Rob, you got anything to add to just our school generally?
I think the biggest thing since I've been there is that straight after you get your fellowship, we've got a dedicated science lab, which is probably quite a big thing for an intermediate or a primary school to have a classroom solely set aside for science. It does get used for other purposes throughout the year, but the big thing there is the heavy investment that the school put into getting a lab set up that can be used for all kinds of science projects, and sort of, as Roddy knows, this year we've been using it quite heavily. 2 and 3 for the and 4 for the Year 7s. Yeah, it's been pretty good actually to, as Roddy said, have a principal that basically says if we need it, we can go and get it within reason. And that's been certainly evident with the product over history. We've certainly spent a bit of money getting that up and running. Not overly expensive, but just a few things here and there that helps make it a lot more hands-on for the kids. A lot more practical gear that the kids can use and get a hold of and not break so easily. It's also been pretty good about pushing us out and letting us go out on some of the trips out and about. I've been pretty fortunate to get out with Roddy in a number of science programs and marine meeting squared. We've both had release time forward to go out, look around, get and get really close to our school that we can incorporate some more science activities within our classroom and outside the classroom. That's pretty good because you don't have to send 2 guys out for half a day or a whole day to do nothing but science. So that's been pretty pleasing following up having 6 months off. 3 days a year to go and do that. What we do with that there already.
Cheers, Rob. Like Rob said, the science lab's it's been a bit of a godsend really. Initially we had, in 2009 we had Dr. Dave Wine from the Tahuna University Chemistry Department come out and work with our children, and back then we had this prefab that had just the old traditional desks and chairs in the room, and it didn't really work too well. Lots of legs in the way of some of our big kids sitting at desks and tables. So the boss did come in and he had a look, and he could see the kids were enjoying themselves. He could see the learning that was happening. So he made the decision to basically cut the prefab and bring in some furniture and some sinks and all those kinds of things that would make it a lot easier to have David Ryan back at our school the following year. So a little bit of money initially, but like Rob said, it's been well worth it. And for our term 2 days out for basically the whole term, he spends a week at our school working with our Year 8 students. So we rotate around him with our classrooms, and in term 4, Ron's in there working with Esther from the physics department, and it's just great having a space that can be set up and left without having to pack everything away. one thing we're looking forward to next year, we just invested, you can see the old spirit burners there in the photos that we've been using, but we've just invested in some Bunsen burners that we managed to source in Belgium, so we're looking forward to those next year. Then we stand alone powered by a camping gas canister, so I'm sure the kids will have a lot of fun with them, and that'll be some skills that they'll be able to take through with them to high school. So, yeah, as I've mentioned, the gym really started when we started doing some environmental hydrology monitoring at a local shallow coastal lake called Tomahawk Lagoon. And back then, EMAC was still up and running, which was a Royal Society funded initiative, and we had fantastic support from a local chemistry teacher called Andrew Innes, and he's continued on with us right to this present point in time. But back in those days, he was a paid coordinator for EMAC in Dunedin, and he's a really passionate person. He loves what he does. He has a group that monitors water in Dunedin Harbour, and he's more than willing to come out and work with schools. Some schools have been with him off and on, but we've managed to hang in there. I think he's about to retire, and he's sort of said to me that, you know, he'd love to keep coming back and working with our children, so we're really lucky in that sense. He still has his gear from his days when he was doing EMAC work, and with some of the tools that he uses for healthy harbour watches, so we don't have to spend a huge amount investing in size for doing the water monitoring. He's got all that gear, so we're really, really lucky. And as I've already mentioned, Dave Ryan, brilliant guy, fantastic resource, and we try and look after him as much as possible. He's got schools that are queuing up wanting to secure services, but he enjoys coming out to our school too, so we've managed to hold on to him all that time, and I think this year was the 50th and coming back, so yeah, we couldn't say enough about Dave. He's been fantastic for our kids, and I'm just hoping that he's going to see the day very soon where some of those kids from those initial chemistry classes are coming into his labs at university, and saying that, you know, they knew him from all that time ago back at Tahuna, so that'll be great for him, for sure. So this is our site for water monitoring, and just in the foreground is the lagoon itself is split into two arms. The bit in the forearm is the sort of the salty part of the lagoon. The two lagoons aren't really connected in any way, and we work in the lagoon at the lagoon at the top. That's where we do our stuff, and that's where on Thursday we'll be out with the dock guys. They're going to be setting up a heap of nets and traps to give our kids an idea of what might be lurking beneath the water. We haven't done one for a few years, so it'll be really interesting to see what we can come up with. Most of the time is sort of spent just looking at the water quality side of things. We've got data stretching back over a long period of time. We've been using the Globe website for a long time now, so we're able to look back on data that we've collected off and on since 2009, which is, it's been hard to sort of figure out how we're going to use that data. We do put together little reports that from time to time we've given to the community or sent on to the Targa Regional Council. We have had involvement with local newspapers and things when we have would have thought that the water quality hasn't been that flash, which has been quite cool. There was a big write-up in the paper last year when we had this horrific algal bloom turned up at the end of the year, and the algae was pretty much blue and disgusting. So hence the reason why we're getting Doc back involved this week, just to see what's going on there. There's plenty of bird life, which obviously leads to some of the problems in terms of hundreds of swarms that are there from time to time. So really looking forward to it. I think the picture on the lower left is probably one of the last times when we did the fishy stock tape, which was a couple of years ago. We do have a yearly invertebrate study where we work together with local high school, John Gresham College, and we take some samples from both lagoons and just check out what's in the mud, what's on some of the plants, and have a really close look at invertebrates. We get a little bit of help with students from Otago University for that, and we've also got another quite well regarded science teacher from a local high school that comes out and helps us with that. So that's always something our kids and myself look forward to every year as our bug hunt, and the interaction between us and John Gresham College with it is really good, and like I said, really enjoyable. Some of the other things that we've done over the last couple of years, working with Doc in forest and birds. We did a wee study last year, just looking at some of the predators that were on our local headland at Lawyers Head. Forest and Bird was contemplating setting up nesting sites for seabirds on Lawyers Head. It's particularly good could be particularly good habitat if it could be predator free, and we did some tracing tunnels and just to get an idea about what might have been happening there. The council unfortunately has sort of scuppered those plans that Forest and Bird might have, because they've opened up this headland again to the public, and they can drive up and down there. So that one's on hold. But other wee things with Doc, like doing some seabird watching, like the girls in the foreground, trying to look after a native sea plant, well not sea plant, but a coastal dune plant that is pretty endangered. I've managed to get some seeds off them. I've still got quite a bit growing at school, so we're trying to plant out little bits along the coastline with that. So yeah, just a little bit of a snapshot about some of the other things we've sort of been up to. So in terms of year 8 and what Rob and I do and work together on and collaborate on, in year 8, the water monitoring, the chemistry, we're big on the science fair, so Rob and I will get together on that and each year and make a real push for trying to get as many kids as we can to into the science fair. Our principal, he loves it, he thinks it's great for the school, so he had the idea a couple of years ago that at least in year 8 it would be compulsory for kids to carry out a fair test, and from that you usually get maybe half, 3/4 of the class entering into the school science fair, and from there we make sure we fill our quota to the Otago Science Fair. We also do a little bit of inquiry work around biodiversity this time of the year as well. And just before I hand over to Rob, all of these things that are going on at school, Rob and I are always running things past each other, come up with a good idea, share it, see if it's going to work. Usually it's a bit of a time thing. Rob's fairly busy. He's in charge of ICT at our school. But when something comes out that he can see the value of, it's great, because both hands he's into it, and giving our kids a really, really good opportunity to get stuck into the science, what we do. I'll let Rob talk a little bit more about our electives, but that's been another area where kids have had opportunities to get involved in science tasks and activities. Rob's been fantastic running geology electives. I run eco electives. We've got another teacher at school, part-time teacher. She taught at the Marine Studies Centre down the peninsula here. So she's pretty passionate about science too, and she's done some pretty cool marine studies electives, and yeah, just lots of opportunities really for kids to, outside of the classroom to actually go along and choose some of these science tasks and topics, which is it's great to see. And a lot of those electives, it's pretty hard for kids to they fill up, and it's pretty hard for kids to actually get spots in them. So yeah, kids can see the fun, kids can see the value, and yeah, fantastic. Well,
thanks, Roddy. One of the big things, I think, my fellowship was early 2012, first half of the year. And previously in 2011, I think we just started our elective program on a Friday. And for me, I just did a week space unit, a couple of sessions, and sort of value and enjoyment, sort of pure enjoyment about our teaching the science and the kids sort of learning about it. And it was great to get off for the 6 months. I was based out with GNS in Dunedin, and made some really, really good contacts there. I spent a lot of time down south in bush, hunting around for platinum reserves. I also had a really, really unique opportunity to jump on board with the university with some geology students and geography students as well, and fly around Mount Cook, as you can see on the other photo at the moment. And we, in one day, stopped at all the huts to do geography and geology testing to map out the glacier movement, something that most people take a couple of weeks to walk around and stay out. We did in about 8 hours flying around in a helicopter, so something I will certainly never forget, buzzing around there and certainly flicking back some photos back to the staff as they're having morning tea and sitting at the top of Mount Cook having morning tea, so pretty impressive. So like Roddy, that sort of it gave me another drive and direction for my teaching. You get teaching for a few years and you can get a bit stagnant. For me, coming back in, it opened up another door. My job's pretty busy with ICT, and science for me is just a great way to just get out and explore, enjoy and learn with the kids. So the first thing I did when I got back, and I was actually go was get into a geology elective, which runs every Friday, and I was really pleased with the kids that I had in year 7 came back in year 8. I had a pretty full class for that, and we managed to get out to do a lot of geology trips around Dunedin. I had some great experience that I worked with GNS. Nick Mortimer is a really good geologist that is more than willing to give up his time, come out and have a chat with Scholes, come on field trips, give some expert advice. So that went really well, and that sort of blossomed into a weekend trip. We go out around on the road and take the school bands out and do a weekend trip up there and look at some of the formations up on the road, as well as further afield in Dunedin. From that, as Roddy was saying, we sort of bounced a few ideas off. We managed to get a few contacts, and one of them for year 7s, I know Roddy had Dave for the year 8s for chemistry, was the physics program in Esther Haynes, and we had a contact there, and it was just a quick, simple email that we sent out to Esther, and she's a physicist at Otago University, and she was more than willing to come out and give us a hand with our physics program. So the first half of the physics program was using some electronics, and the second half was all about pulleys and levers, and we started it last year, and it was a wee trial period, and the kids really got into the brain boxes, and we thought, what could we do a little bit more in the next year? And Esther was really keen to come back. She was really enthusiastic. She I mean, she's a physicist, she's not a teacher, but she absolutely loved working with the kids and challenging them. And as Roddy said, we invested a wee bit more money and did a bit of DIY. Went down to Mitre 10 Mega and picked out a few pulleys from the boating section, and made a couple of swing seats and challenged the kids to lift their teacher with some pulleys. And the kids, as you can see in the photos, really got into it. This is one class at lake where every single child, we had 4 pulley seats set up, was involved, and it was just a multitude of thinking going on. They had problem solve, they had to work together, it's like collaboration going on. They had to ask for advice, and they had to work out what was the best way that they could actually lift their teacher. Roddy is he's a pretty tall guy himself, you don't come on the scales pretty lightly, so it was a good challenge for those boys to get us up there, and it really worked. I just bounced around all the classrooms getting in and out, and every class I went into with the pulleys, it was the buzz in the room was quite exciting. So that's a massive positive for us for this term and this year. And I think Esther's she would stay later after she'd finished her sessions just to set up the pulleys. We can go for the next session and try and make it better for the next class coming in. And so we already have got some ideas for next year and going forward in that. So Roddy and I will be talking about that. That's probably the good thing, is having someone else in the school to bounce some ideas off. I've got some big ideas that we'd love to use in the science lab, but it's just taking those little steps first and moving on with those. So this year and last year we had the physics program running in there, and it was going quite well. The term 1 for the year 7, we run an adaptation program, and we head out to the albatross colony up on the Peninsula. So we're quite fortunate. It's been part of the year 7 program for a number of years, just to get out to the Peninsula, but probably the last 2 or 3 we've incorporated the albatross into that, and also the Portobello Aquarium, which is a real unique sort of area to get a lot of hands-on sort of nature of science skills, really, that they can actually see scientists at work, they can see what they are doing and how it relates back to the environment, and also how it affects the kids directly. So those 2 projects that we do and look at in Term 1, it's a good highlight for the kids to get out there, get involved. It's all hands-on, it's all very practical. For some of them, it's the first time they've ever picked up a microscope, seen an albatross, turned over a power, looked at some kinna up close. For others, they might have done it a couple of times before. Some of the peninsula schools, they might be well versed in it. But it's good to see those kids getting out and looking at that. So that covers Term 1 and Term 3 Term 3 and 4 with our physics programs. So yeah, that's about it in the sense from there. I've just got a couple of good photos here from our geology elective. This was a recent trip that we went up to actually last weekend. Spent the whole Saturday up there. Went to the Oamaru, the Parks O'Quarry. Absolutely amazing trip up there, so anybody that can get in and go out to that, well worth a visit. We're very fortunate. We went out to Dumtrine as well, and the selection we got out of there on the rocks, every kid walked away with a handful of 40 million year old fossils of the Oamaru limestone. So for those kids it was just a buzz, and that's for me what science should be about for the kids, is for them to be just buzzing and fizzing, not to get too hung up in the technical stuff. You can bring that in along with them and ease it through, and they will pick it up as they go. And lots of the kids that I've been working with in geology units and electives are using their terminology now. They've got a good grasp and handle for this. We use it so much, but we don't force it upon them, and it just becomes apparent to them, and they start using the language themselves, just because I've just been immersed in it. And that's for me a big highlight, so that having the kids being involved, being so enthusiastic, And as Roddy said before, I'm looking forward to the days when Nick sees some of those students coming through GNS that have taken some geology papers at the university, because a few of them not too far away from heading off to university, probably another year or two. But yeah, we can't emphasise enough making great contacts with what you've got around you. The bottom picture here on the slide there was another trip that we did earlier on with the geology elective meeting, and it was one of the kids' fathers actually had a quarry out on the peninsula, not a massive scale, but he said, come on out and have a look, see what we're doing. And we thought, why not? We got out there, and the kids just got out there. They got to see some big machinery working. They got to see how a contractor uses science and looks at science, how you can look at it in a commercial sense. So there was two sides to what we were looking at and trying to give the kids. And then there's purely a scientific model, and there's also a commercial model that came in there as well. So we just give kids as much information as we can about both sides and what they think about it, and let them make the decisions, whether they like things going that way or not. For the geology side, I've been down in Dunedin. It's been pretty big, because we had a couple of good discussions about the oil exploration that's currently happening off the coast. So the kids are, it's interesting to see their points of view coming through, and it's good to put a perspective for them of what it could mean for Dunedin, but also what the potential hazards and risks as well, so they can make an informed decision on that. So that's about that for me for the physics and geology. It would be really cool to show you some videos of the geology and the pulleys in action, but they're something that I thought was quite technical. Turned out to be pretty simple once you just stood back and had a look at it and just got involved. And the beauty of it with those pulley systems that we did this term was when the teachers made mistakes, the kids were like, oh, that's quite cool too. And the teachers were able to figure out with the kids and get these pulleys working, which was a real highlight for me as well, because seeing those teachers learn and develop their skills and confidence to make mistakes in front of the kids, and that it's okay to make a mistake within science, and in fact it's applauded, because you truly do learn when you make mistakes and figure out what you did wrong. So the pulleys was a great one to bring everybody together to try and muck out how to get their teacher in the air, how to get these pulleys working, and what they could do. So it was really good. I'll pass back to you now, Roddy.
Yeah, thanks, Rob. It's quite genuine what you're saying about the staff getting involved. I think initially that's been one of the barriers is just getting staff on board, and all of you guys will know that when you go back to your schools, or if you're back there at schools already, you've got to get 100% buy-in, otherwise obviously it just doesn't work as well. I think both of us have had to really spoon-feed it to the staff and make sure that we've got really, really good resources that are there for teachers to use. Everything's set up, because if you don't, they're reasonably reluctant to sort all that stuff out for themselves. So I think that barrier's been overcome, but it's something you've got to keep working on, that's for sure. We've done a little bit of PD as well, Rob and I, off and on over the last couple of years. Usually get a chance once a year to have a decent staff meeting and do some activities, so that's something else we've enjoyed doing. And I think obviously the other barrier is just the time thing, really. So like I said, Rob's really busy. He's in charge of ICT at our school, so he's got to deal with all the problems that brings. And myself, I'm AP, so got lots of other things on the plate, but when you've got good people around you, those things are certainly made it a lot easier. But yeah, I think probably some of the things that we haven't touched on that Rob and I have sort of been thinking about in the last wee while, like Rob's been doing these trips, you know, giving up his time on the weekend to do some of these activities, and we sort of talked about we definitely need to do this stuff in school time, so we're going to work on the bus a little bit to do that. Obviously there's a bit of an undertaking if you're going to release a couple of teachers to go away for a few days and do some activities like Rob's been doing. But yeah, I'm sure if we put together a decent proposal, I'm pretty confident the boss wouldn't turn us down. Rob and one of his colleagues in Year 7, we're going to have a crack at the room there square next year. So I'm really looking forward to how that's going to work out. So it'd be great to see a bit of maths going along with the science there. So that was that right. And
just jump on, buddy. Yeah, that's probably something that I picked up going with those open ocean with you, Roddy, out to the water project, because I would have never had exposure to the marine med squared. And I just took it back to one of my fellow Year 7 teachers, and we both teach maths at the top level. We thought, well, we've done the same sort of statistics program year in, year out for the 3 years, and we always look to try and look at new things, make what we teach fun for us or fun for the kids. I thought, well, let's get out to the beach, get a metre square out, count what we find in it, average it out, do the statistics, do the graphs, and we're covering our stats, but we're also doing something that the kids can sort of input the data online and see their input on a project that's actually all over Dunedin. So he's really keen to get in there and do that. And it will. It's just getting out of the classroom. It's not just getting out of every single day, but it's just putting things back to the kids and selling to them, getting them involved and making it a bit more meaningful and in context. And by doing that, I think we're covering a lot of specifics without them actually knowing it. We can sort of guide them through it. What he's touching on with the PD session, we deliberately made a lot of the PD sessions from the start very hands-on but fun, and just lessons that we would be taking with the kids. So, we were taking the staff as students as well, but letting them get involved and having some fun. Getting a lot of technology in there as well was pretty cool, I think, Roddy. But just how wonderful like an iPad or a tablet can be to use that as a scientific tool. I think Roddy, you used that earlier on last year and this year again is really cool. I think Dave showed it, using the camera tool to get the kids down to take a look at the minute sky and the chemistry. Also, looking at filming some of the science activities that they do. So that, for me, that's a good way of incorporating a lot of technology. It's a way from my rules together. You can use these tablets and iPads to great effect. You don't have to get the kids writing out a lot of stuff. They can just be filming it. They can go away and do that later and come back and watch the video that they've done, and it's a great visual reminder for them. Think, yeah, that's what we did. Yeah, and they can go back in there and change it, and then they can see, hang on, we did that wrong, and the proof is there on the video to make those changes as well. So for us, we've been lucky as well with the, a big push into ICT at the school. A lot of great ideas of incorporating in with, I think we've struck it quite well with our school with the combination with me and different ICT and both of us having a big passion in the science area, because Roddy says to me, I need this, and he says, yeah, and it's never a problem, so we can always work around and get all the resources to get going. So we've certainly got a lot of great ideas of using those tablets. We're well resourced in the school to do that. But even one or two around the school, you can grab them, get the kids out about, send them on a wee project, and they can come back and report to the class, and it's just as well. Yeah, definitely. I think the most fun I've had this year though is been lucky enough to work with Year 6 kids from our contributing school. We had
sessions for them once a week last term, and certainly keep you on your toes, those kids, that's for sure. But just great fun, and yeah, quite a good wee selling point for our school. Just making sure the kids in our contributing schools know that we really value science, and it's something that we do a lot of at our school. So something else the boss is big on too. Just getting ourselves out there and making sure that we're well known to the community for what we do. So yeah, Michael, I think it's probably about enough from us too, that's for sure. Hope we haven't brought too many people to tears.
That's been a wonderful thing. I've really enjoyed it, and I'm sure everybody else has. Would like to congratulate you on all of the marvelously inspiring stuff you've been doing. It's just a real treat to listen to you, and the innovation and the passion that you're working with is just absolutely brilliant. So thanks. And I'm wondering if anybody's got any questions. I'm sure they have, so I'll throw the floor open. If you're talking, please switch on your microphone, and if you're not talking, please turn it off. Who'd like to go first? Carl, is that you would like to go?
I was just saying that it was great. I just thought it was great that you guys were able to take your children out during your fellowship. When I took my fellowship, it was 2 hours away from my school, so it wasn't really possible, but I think it was really super that you were able to do that while you were on your study.
Thanks for that observation, Carl. Anybody else got any questions for these two wonderful guys?
It's Ruth here. I was just wondering, Rob and Roddy, I'm hanging out in Dunedin for the rest of the term. Is there something that I can tag along to before the term finishes, just to see something in action?
I'm not sure if you're around on the 26th of November, but that's the date of our fishy stock, our bait hunt, with guys from John Gleason College. It's usually a pretty cool day, so my email's there, so yeah, if you're available, you're more than welcome to come along and see what we're doing on that day.
Anybody else got any questions, guys? Okay, you've obviously stunned them into silence, guys. Maybe I'll just ask anybody if there's anything new coming up in their area that they'd like to share, or anything that they're passionate about that they really would like to, have a burning wish to tell people about. So the floor is anybody's to grab the microphone. Don't all rush at once.
Yeah, right, team. I think for me, for many, if you're near the coast, that checking out that Marine Meat and Squid program is a great resource, I think, for jumping in with your maths and science, tagging the two together. It's also a great way to do a coastal study as well, so there's a lot of social science going on there as well. So if you haven't heard of it, I'm sure most of us probably have, but if you haven't, get into it, because I think before last year I certainly had, and there's lots of support out there. They're involved in that too. So that'll be a good one coming up, and they're always looking, I think, with the warmer months coming up, and the start of next year will be a great one to get in, get out to the beach and the water to have a look at.
Joanne, you look to say you're about to say something.
No, sorry.
Nothing coming, just fiddling.
Okay, all right. Well, that's great. If there are any final sort of observations or whatever, that would be really good, just to just opening it up to anybody to say anything they want to, and if not, yeah, we'll close down in a minute. Anybody got anything to say before we finish? Joanne, Jeremy.
Yeah. Hi, Joanne here. Just thinking about involving the students and the people from the uni. How did you find them talking to the students at the student level?
Well, with our chemistry, we lucky Dave Long, before he became an academic, he was a secondary teacher. So, yeah, he worked with kids a lot before. He worked with younger kids in the UK too, so not too much of a problem with him. So, yeah, well.
Nick is he's a published author for geology, a couple of geology books for beginners, so he was quite easy to put into kids speak, if you like, which was quite good. And Esther, we gave her a lot of support in the sense of sort of classroom management, looking after the kids, and sort of working together to break things down. So I'd spend a bit of time with her going through what she wanted to get through and what we wanted to get out of the lesson and how we wanted it to come across, so it didn't come across too technical. I'm not a physics major in any sense, any word, and I was just always there to have a look at and ask the silly questions that the kids were thinking, what was that? So I was the guy that was putting the hand up to that saying, well, what does that mean? If I thought it might have been getting a wee bit too technical, and the kids sort of found that quite interesting. If there was a technical word that they didn't know, I'd just stick my hand up and say, look, what does that mean? So I'd be the person asking those questions that they're probably thinking about. I think that was a good way to get around any technical language, and certainly from the first year to the second year with Esther, we've got a good program going now where it's all sort of kids speak, hands-on, and some great resources, electronic resources, that I think I've flicked a few links with the iPads on there, and it makes it a lot easier for the kids.
Jeremy, you looked as though you were about to say something too.
Yes, thanks. Thanks, guys. That was great. Just wondering, you talk about electives. That's a good idea. How much time do you give to science? Is it timetabled, or you do it through inquiry, or specific using the lab time? How does it relate, say, to the average class? How much time do they spend a week on science?
For our physics program, we timed in for the lab, because I kicked Roddy out of the lab in term 4 and said that's our time, and he couldn't get in there, which was pretty good because he did quite a bit in term 3. We set aside 2 1.5 to 2 hour sessions for each class over a 3-week period. So that was sort of, we worked out the timetable. Being a busy intermediate, we had a couple of classes that we'd sort of work around. So I worked it out that they would try and get 2 visits in the 1 week. So that they were sort of back to back with that. We do incorporate a lot of the science within with our inquiry work as well, and that works quite nicely. And we look at trying to incorporate it in with our camps at the same time. So there's a bit of science. So it's a good question about actually how much science is taught per week or per day. For us, it's about which terms we make a big science focus on. Term 1 for the Year 7s, end of term 2, start of term 3 for Year 7s and 8s for the science fairs. Big focus on term 3, isn't it, Roddy, for the chemistry, and then big focus term 4 for the physics for the Year 7s. We sort of put it in lots of chunks for the kids. It works well for us with a busy timetable. And I think the kids get a lot out of it where we sort of back them up quite closely together with the visits to the lab and having experts come in means they're not too sort of strung out. With the electives, it's purely up to the teachers on what they want to take, but as Roddy said before, we're pretty fortunate to have 3 and 4 staff members looking to do things based around science. First couple of years for the electives, we did 2 electives per day, and it was getting a wee bit nuts for a few staff, being quite busy, so we've cut that back. We've strung out a wee bit more, so rather than 2 40-minute sessions, we've sort of pushed that out to 1 hour, to one 1 hour session on a Friday, backed up as a school session after that. So that, I think, seems to be working a lot better. Gives teachers a bit more time to prepare for that.
Thanks for that. That's good. Have we got any more questions or observations? Okay. John and Jen, do you want to say anything before we pack up for the evening? No? Okay. Well, I'd just like to thank you too. It's been really stunning listening to you, and it's been a real treat. And I'm just sad that there have been so many primary science fellows who have not been with us tonight. You guys who've been on, please tell your colleagues in your primary science cohorts what a treat they've missed. I will be putting a link to the recording as soon as it comes through, which takes a couple of days, onto the Facebook pages and emailing it to people, because I think this is definitely worth reviewing. So thanks, you guys. Really appreciate your hard work and the effort that you put into it. And to the rest of you, all the best. Enjoy your science, enjoy working with your kids, and go for it. Change the world. Thank you.
Thanks, Michael. Been great, guys. Get into it. Have some fun. That's the main thing. Make some mistakes. Laugh about it. That's the best thing I can say for the kids. Don't be afraid to make those mistakes, and if you can instill that in your teachers and your teaching staff as well. I mean, that's the big thing. A lot of staff are scared that they're going to do something wrong, but that's the beauty of science. A lot of great things have happened from pure mistakes. So get out there, get involved, make mistakes, laugh about it, learn about it, because we're all learning, and it's great for the kids to see that as teachers we're still learning as well. So don't be afraid. Get in there, get hands on. And enjoy the fun.
Well said. Okay, well, good night, everybody. I'm going to leave the room, and look after yourselves, and we'll talk maybe later, maybe first term next year. But in the meantime, enjoy your Christmas break. It seems a bit far off, but it's soon creeping up on us. Cheers. Bye-bye.